This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
Richard Allen, the man accused of being the Delphi murderer. As always, it's a tale that continues to get stranger and stranger every time we talk about it. One of the key things that's happened recently, destruction of evidence. Evidence that was a conversation with two potential suspects at the very beginning of the investigation. After these two little girls were found dead within that week, they talked to two people that they thought were potentially suspects, also potentially Odinists. But by the way, those tapes, that information, those interviews, conveniently gone when the defense wants to take a look at it of possible other suspects as they defend Richard Allen against these charges. Joining me to discuss this and the other array of motions that have been flying back and forth, Bob Motta, defense attorney, host of the podcast Defense Diaries. Let's start there with the destruction of evidence. Is this just an honest, hey, our DVR got corrupt and these things are gone? It seems a little too convenient for the course that this has been going down.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad news. Ultimately, I think that the motion will get denied in terms of, I think that Gull, and not just because I think that Gull denies everything that the defense files, which she does, but I think on the actual grounds that there at least exists a summary of what Holder said. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you prove that? How can you prove that they intentionally deleted it? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like it's so circumstantial. You're taking, okay, well, they slow played giving us the defense, the discovery of, any kind of potential Odin involvement in this or some kind of ritualistic aspect to it until September, October, almost a year, almost a year into the case. And you have to try to, compare it to everything that's taken place on top of that to get to the place where you need to be, that they destroyed it intentionally. I mean, it certainly seems like it. Yeah. It certainly seems like it. But Gull's going to ultimately say, look, you've got the summary. Like, law enforcement wrote the summary. I don't think it's that big of a deal that it's not verbatim. What the gist of his statement was. So, like per usual, but just understand the defense is making records here. Like they're making an appellate record with everything that they have in their arsenal because Gull's not doing it. If Gull's not going to do it, they're going to have to file the motions so that there's an appellate record and then just let her deny it without hearing, I mean, that's, which seems to be her habit, but yeah, I mean, like, am I surprised? No. Do I think it was intentional? Maybe. I'm certainly not of the mindset of like that. There's no way they intentionally did that. I'm not even close to being in that place.
How often do things like this happen where key pieces like this, potentially exonerating pieces like this, just suddenly are missing? I mean, is this a common thing? I mean, it looks pretty horrible in this case because horrible things just happen every time we talk about it. But I mean, is this common? Does this happen on a regular basis?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can lose, like, we've lost recordings, like, where the state's lost recordings before, or something happened, or was corrupted, or, I mean, it happens. And really, again, it goes really to the weight of the evidence. Like, how was it exculpatory in nature or potentially exculpatory evidence? That changes things. It's one thing if I get a corrupted disc back when they used to give us DVRs instead of like flash drives, or they gave us like CD-ROMs. Yeah. Sometimes we'd get them and they wouldn't work, and we'd be like, hey, this thing's defective. It doesn't work. Yeah. They try to reburn it. Like, I mean, it happens. Like we're human. It can happen. However, when it gravitates towards the area that it was potentially exculpatory evidence, it's a bad look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is a bad look. And there's not really much of a remedy to do. Like, I mean, they're obviously asking for an incredibly drastic measure, which obviously no one thinks that Gull is going to do. She's never going to dismiss the case because of it. You know, so it's like, you know, what do you do other than make the record, you know? And obviously that was an important move for the defense to make at that point, because they're definitely leaning into this alternate suspect theory, the Odinist / white supremacist, you know, group theory that whatever they did, whether it had been a ritual sacrifice or whether it was just a bunch of guys that you know are into that, and you know, once the thing took place, you know, they were kind of, you know, going through the motions of building the runes just because they, who knows, you know, I mean, they seem to all be really into it. I don't know how deep that runs. Yeah. You know, based on some of the stuff I heard about Holder and like what happened with the other guy, Westfall, you know, they had a falling out because like Westfall heard that Holder was at like regular church. You know, he's like, what are you doing? You went regular church, you know what I mean? Like all offended that, you know, and like that was the termination of their friendship. Yeah. You know, because he cheated on Odinism by going to regular church with his family or something. So I don't know, man. I mean, it happens, but in light of everything else that's going on with this case, it's not a good look.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.